Hi, Richard Friesen here, and today we're in Rich's Reframes. We're going to talk about the problems of being a liability to the state. That's right. You are most likely to end up a liability to the state, and we're going to talk about what that means. It isn't pretty. But, Rich's Reframes, we need to be honest and tell you it straight out. So let's lay a little background and foundation here. The debt and unfunded liabilities in the United States are about $100 trillion. Now, this is by some estimates, and you can argue whether it's 110 or 80 or 70. But that's like jumping off a 200-foot building or a 400-foot building or an 800-foot building. The consequences are the same. So I'm not arguing about the 100 trillion exactly. I'm just saying, well, it's so big that when you hit the ground, it's a splat. And that's the splat we're going to talk about today. Well, so you can say, well, that debt doesn't matter. We owe it to ourselves and we'll just make the rich pay. But the debt is so big, it's about $500,000 for every working adult in the United States. So if you're married and you're a couple, you have a family, that means that you owe $1 million. Now, is your net worth $1 million or more? Or let's say it's 2 million. Whack, just cut it in half. But if we're going to make the rich pay, can we do that? Well, let's look at the value of all the stocks in all the stock markets in the United States. That's $40 trillion. That's only 40% of our total debt and unfunded liabilities. So you could literally take every stock, the government could just grab it and confiscate it and say, we're going to pay off our debt. And we're still at that 200-foot jump off the building. And we've decimated the economy because there's no money left and all the businesses have been wiped out. Okay, so one possibility, you say, yeah, but we'll just work down the debt over time. But I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1947, and there's a lot of, just look behind me. There's a lot of people coming behind me, and we're all going to get ours. Social Security, Medicare, we're going to be at the friggin' trough. Just think of zombies, thousands of them coming to the government trough. And if you're younger, who is going to pay? That's the problem. So there's no political grassroots movement or political constituency that's going to argue for paying down the debt, especially since COVID pandemic. Who wants to be the politicians that stands up and say, oh, we're not going to save the economy, or, oh, we're not going to pay for testing or COVID therapeutics? Politicians thrive on one thing: power. It's an aphrodisiac. If you do neurochemical studies on people who have power, it's like a drug. It's an addiction. And they are going to spend whatever it takes to maintain that experience. So this is about healthcare. So my problem is that next year, I'm going to be turning 74. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why that matters. But first, I want to let you know, and this is going to be shocking to many of you, the government doesn't care. It doesn't give a flying you-know-what about you, your life, and your happiness. The government cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is power and staying in power. So what you're going to hear as we baby boomers get older and the debt is crushing, we're going to hear phrases like the quality adjusted life years. What this means is they're going to show you graphs of the cost toward the end of your life going up. I see it's backwards on this screen, so we have to do it like this. The quality of life, the cost versus the quality of life going up. And they're going to say, is that really fair? That these old people should consume so much of the health care? Well, what's happened is we are now a liability to the state. Ezekiel Emanuel, brother of the former mayor of Chicago, he's an oncologist and a bioethicist. And he said, and I'm quoting, whether our consumption is worth our contribution after age 74. I'm going to be 74 next year. My God, is my contribution enough to keep me alive? Well, in order to ask this question, what would somebody have to believe to even state something like this? Well, you'd have to believe that society at large is where value is determined, that the individual is valuable as a contributor to society at large. Those that don't contribute, that's me after age 74 maybe, we're a drag on society. We're a liability. Now, they'd also have to believe that there's a way to measure the cost versus our contribution. Well, maybe with artificial intelligence and big computers, they can start to have algorithms that determine it. And they, the enlightened, the we, can determine and set those up, and we can make those judgments for everyone. You'd also have to believe that the individual, it's not best for society if the individuals make choices, that we'll make the judgments, make our conclusions, and for the good of everybody, we will tell you what is available. So you aren't going to have a lot of choice as a liability. Once your usefulness is over to society, then we have to look at cost-benefit analysis. Many of us, myself included, I will choose to forego expensive treatments to gain me a couple of months of life, especially if they're kind of miserable. I have no problem with that. And I have a feeling that most other people will not have a problem with that, and they don't want to be burdened and spend some miserable days in a hospital. But the point is, once the choice is made for you, once the determination of that choice is society at large, I think we're going to be shocked as the decisions and the type of decisions that will continually be made as our healthcare system, our governments, our states, and our pension funds end up bankrupt. The government has planned to make you a liability of the state. And at some future point, the people who made those promises won't be there, and somebody else will pull the rug out from under you. So, what do I do? What can we do? First of all, quit smoking, quit drinking a lot of alcohol, exercise, eat the right amount of food. Well, I got a little bit of an issue there. Stay healthy, do your checkups, and have, most importantly, is to develop a really great attitude and belief about your life. Your thinking, your thoughts, and your feelings are a big input in as to how you will stay healthy until the end of your life. That is a whole new skill in and of itself, and maybe we'll address that in a future Riches Reframes. But in the meantime, get up tomorrow, be healthy, be happy, love the ones you can be around in this COVID pandemic, and look forward to having a healthy and wealthy end of life. Take care. This is Rich with Rich's Reframes.